What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Michael here and welcome back to Fudge Muppet. At the end of this video, I'm going to remind you about the future of Skyrim on the channel, so stick around for that. But right now, we're going to be looking at our Arcane Archer build, which was one of the builds we made during Skyrim Week years ago. YouTube deleted it, we've remade it, and here it is. The Arcane Archer is a 16-year-old Breton, meaning that she appears quite sweet and innocent and will benefit from a natural 25% magic resistance. She can use the Lord Stone or the Atronach Stone for endgame protection, and early on you'll want to use the Lover Stone so you level up all your skills faster. Her stat spread will actually be 20% magicka, 40% health, and 40% stamina. 40% health is plenty to stay alive, and 40% stamina allows for heaps of bow usage and rolling in sneak mode. Now, we have low magicka, but the reason for this and why it's best for this character is that she only uses magic to summon her bow. That's it. Put in your magicka points early on so you can get closer to summoning the bow. Enchanted items also help you to get to that casting stage quicker, but once you have the right perks, you'll definitely be sweet. Now let's talk about the role-playing and the backstory. The Arcane Archer originates from High Rock and has lived there for almost all of her 16 years. She was raised in a conservative noble family with parents who wanted to marry her off to a nobleman from another family. She suspected that this could be a decision that they wanted to make for her for many years, but on her 16th birthday when they told her of this, she was also told of another possibility. She had two choices. One, to be married off to ensure the prosperity of herself and her family within high-class society, or two, go to the local mage college and become a successful mage, preferably a healer or some sorceress of some description. Now, the Arcane Archer definitely did not want to be married off, especially at her age, and because of this, she decided to test her talents at the college. She was accepted into the school due to her family's status, and soon started learning the basic principles of magic. The Arcane Archer was pretty decent at enchanting. However, after trying out destruction magic, alteration, and then all the rest, she soon found out that she was in fact a horrible mage. The only thing she could do, besides enchant, was actually summon equipment. Her standard conjuration was lackluster, but she could summon a bow without too much strain. For some reason, she'd found summoning a bow the easiest, easier than summoning swords and small armor pieces. Now, after finding out that amongst all the conventional magic spells, this was the only thing she could really do properly, she soon discovered something else. She was a natural archer. She soon began to fire bound arrows at the spell targets within the college, and it was clear that she had exceptional target perception. She could hit moving and stationary targets from a distance, and one could theorize that this enabled her to learn how to use other bows too. It was a huge advantage to start with something that didn't weigh anything, as her lack of muscle didn't handicap her. While it was clear that this young girl could be very powerful if placed in a combat situation, most students and teachers at the college mocked her. They looked down at her because she could not perform magic in the same way that they could, and as time went by, this eventuated in her official exclusion. She had no use there, and she took up space in the training rooms, which could be used for more traditional magic practice. After being cast out of the college, the young Breton girl knew she would be married off by her family against her own will, so she fled. She left her parents and her old life behind and adventured around Tamriel, caught on the border of Skyrim, and taken to Helgen, where she later escaped. In terms of role-playing, this character is kind-hearted and sweet. She's understanding of others and will always tell people what they want to hear, even if she doesn't really believe her own compliments. After being shamed in High Rock, she will not judge others for their abilities and will believe that everyone has something special to offer, as naive as that might be. She will also strive to prove herself and her own abilities, and will aim to become the most talented archer in all of Skyrim. In terms of factions, the Arcane Archer is a bit of a weird one. The Thieves Guild doesn't make sense from her moral standpoint, and the same goes for the Dark Brotherhood. Now, obviously, you could change your Arcane Archer and pretend she did take a dark turn after leaving her family and feeling bad about herself, but that's not something that we did. The College of Winterhold can be joined, although you won't be using much magic, and the Companions Guild may seem a little out of place too. You could join the Companions and Winterhold College with the aim of proving yourself as able to fulfill their tasks, regardless of your lack of physical strength for the Companions and your lack of conventional magic skill for the College of Winterhold. This build can definitely do the Dawnguard DLC and would side definitely with the Dawnguard. Do the Dragonborn DLC too and defeat Mirak while you're there. The skills and playstyle of this build are very straightforward. The Arcane Archer is not an overly complex build, and she uses Sneak, Archery, Conjuration, and Enchanting. Now this build is by no means an assassin, but can definitely play like one and will at times. We prefer not to use stealth all the time, but definitely do use it where it helps, which is a lot of situations. Those sneak attack multipliers are very powerful. Sneak is also great to keep this young girl out of trouble if she encounters any sticky situations. Conjuration will only be used to summon your bound bow. If you want to take it beyond this, you can, but we like retaining the purity and simplicity of this build's magic. Archery will obviously be used to make this bow cause more damage and be better to use. Being able to zoom in and slow time is very useful. Enchanting is actually going to be used a lot to bolster all these skills. You'll want to enchant jewelry, even a circlet if you like, with things like Fortify Archery and Fortify Sneak. It adds a ton of extra damage, and it's great for helping you out with Magicka early on, only if you use Fortify Magicka of course though. And seriously, do not forget to fortify your Sneak to make this build even better. Now we didn't use speech for our build, but if you want to, it does seem to fit the character well enough. She's young and appears naive, so many people are inclined to help her out. Your playstyle doesn't need a heap of explanation. You'll want to simply cast your bound bow spell at the beginning of battle, and then use all your arrows to blast apart enemies quite fast before they can even reach you. You don't have much in the way of armor rating, so definitely don't play this build as destructive or risky. Pick your shots, use stealth if need be, and choose to avoid damage over dealing damage when you're forced to pick between the two. Once you get this build to its final stages with super high enchanting, you should be able to kill enemies with only a few shots. One shot if you're sneaky. The perk link will be in the description as usual. So looking at the gear for the build, it's simply enchanted jewelry, so a ring, a necklace, and a circlet if you want, and also robes and boots. Boots will simply be college boots, which you will enchant, and the robes can either be master robes of conjuration or expert robes. These look really cool and help out with any magical needs, but this build can also benefit majorly from simply buying college robes from Radiant Raiment and enchanting those with something more useful. It also looks like the kind of outfit you'd be wearing after fleeing the Mage College in High Rock. You'll also have a bound bow, but technically that's a spell, not gear. Before you get this, you can just use normal bows and arrows though, and this rationalizes the lack of archery skill early on, as you're being forced to use something you didn't use previously. You no longer have that weightless advantage. You'll get the bound bow soon enough though. Companions are completely optional, but if you decide to use one, we strongly recommend thinking about your combat strategy and how you're playing through the game so far. Using a heavy armored warrior who deals melee damage can be a great way to balance out any weaknesses this build has, but if you find that you're constantly shooting your companion by mistake, using a ranged fighter like another archer or a mage can also be highly beneficial. And that concludes another Skyrim build, the Arcane Archer. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really appreciate it if you click the like button, as it helps us out heaps and lets us know that you want us to make more of this content. But speaking of which, we've now completed the final of the redone builds that we're going to be able to recover. The tiny amount of others could never be found, but if you have audio files of them or if you downloaded the video, please contact us through social media, leave a comment below, whatever you can, so we can recover them. So what we're going to do now, like we told you, is more weekly Skyrim content, but it won't necessarily be builds. Builds will resume weekly after the Skyrim Special Edition is released in October, and we'll definitely be taking advantage of mods for console and PC players. Thank you so much for tuning in again and for supporting us, and we look forward to nerding out with you all again with some more Skyrim very soon.